I'm just still fascinated with all the things that you've seen. And I think that's where, and I'll speak for a lot of people here, I think that's the broadly, in a general sense, why people are so fascinated with people in your position. Because you got to peek behind the curtain. We did not, right? So we, to a certain extent...
Well, careful what you wish for.
I know.
We just say it's a double-edged sword.
That's another question I have. But for now, like, you have, access to the mechanism. You have access to at least a portion of the mechanism. And you get to peek behind the veil. And all the rest of us are curious, right? We're curious because it involves mankind. It involves our own potential religion. It involves life and death. It involves why we're here. It involves the questions of the universe. It involves the most important things that humanity has ever asked for. And you potentially had one of the closest encounters with the answer. That is great.
That's heavy, man. You'll put that on my shoulders.
Are you kidding me? That is what it is. That is why people are so passionate about this. That is why people get fired up, whether good or bad or angry or happy, or they get fired up because this is important. This is the big question. And, there aren't so many people that have come forward to talk about that. And the second we get somebody, is the second we need to grill them. It's the second we need to put them through the ringer because they're like, hey, you're playing with my emotions here.
Right. And truth, whatever that truth is. And you're going to come out, and if you're going to say this is the truth, then, you better prove it.
Exactly.
That's right.
And so, you of all people can understand the amount of, frustration and vitriol and all of this stuff combined, because deep, deep, deep down, everyone's just hoping for an answer. That's just deep down.
But my role isn't to provide answers. My role is just to provide information. It's up to you to find those answers. And this is what I try to tell people.
Well put.
It's don't put that responsibility on my shoulder. I'm just like you. And I'm fallible, and I'm a human being, and I, wake up and I spill my coffee, and I'm not a messiah, man. That's
understood.
That my job is simply as a purveyor of the information. Here's the information, here's the data, here's the facts. How you interpret that and what you think about that, brother, that's on you, not me.
But a lot of us are not willing to make that answer as long as there's information being withheld.
Oh, agreed. No, you're right. And that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Right.
Here's the information. We've got to get more out.
We do want to make those answers, and hopefully, we don't look to anyone else for answers, and we can come up with those ourselves. But as long as we're aware that there is information that is being withheld, we can't fully formulate a proper answer. And some people's frustration, my guess, is that you have that luxury of formulating some type of answer that they would love to formulate themselves. Make sense?
Yeah, good point.
So, forgive me for always, prying into what it is you've seen, but that's the underlying value in this, is that some of us just want to know more so that we can make our own answers.
Sure. And that's fair. And I think that's a really good point. And that's, I guess indirectly some of why I do what I do. I want you to have information so you can make your own assessment. Mm-hmm. And this is why people say, well, Lou, what do you think? You know what? To hell with what Lou thinks. It doesn't matter what Lou thinks. What matters is what you think. My job is, this is why, I always tell people when I was a former special agent, and when I was a special agent in charge, our job is very simple. Provide the information to the jury, let the jury decide. Doesn't matter what I think about it. What doesn't matter how I feel about it.
Sure.
What matters is, what does the data suggest? What does the math suggest? What is the collection of data and observations provide, and then you allow the people to make that decision for themselves.
Correct.
Right. And I think it's the problem we have right now in this UFO community, which I do not consider myself a ufologist. I'm not a researcher of UFOs. I just happen to have the job. That was it. Paid by the government, American taxpayer dollars. I think it's critical that people be allowed to make their own interpretive decisions for themselves, because this is people say, Lou, what do you think? It doesn't matter. What matters is what you think. Here's the data. You figure that. Don't be so quick to give up that sacred right you have to think.
But once again, we don't have that data.
Right. Well, we get some of it.
We don't have it.
You don't have all of it. There's a difference. You do have some of it.
Yes, we do have some of it.
And I know it's frustrating because people say they want more. I get it. I understand.
Well, it's because it's
like chocolate,
and it's not, and that's not on you that it's frustrating, by the way. And I know you shoulder a lot of that, and to a great extent, it's very unfair because you have been forthcoming with more information, I think, than most people would have gotten in a lifetime of research. Thanks to the things that you've done coming forward.
Oh, thank you. I am trying.
Absolutely, and that is undeniable, and I'm willing to fight anyone on that. But the problem is once we scrape the barrel, we're like, okay, well, what's next?
Right.
And we know there is a next. We know there is something, right?
You're right.
Okay.
I think part of the frustration, and let me be completely transparent with you guys. I do a lot of work behind the shadows, behind the scenes, in order to get to like where we are now. Whether it's a new whistleblower that maybe I've been aware of for the last few years, or maybe a secret project that will hopefully blow the lid on a lot of this, whether it's through a documentary, getting the right people to have the conversation. The problem is when you do that in the dark, people think that you're hiding something from them. They don't realize that, look, it's not you I don't trust. What I don't trust are some of the elements over there that don't want this conversation to happen. And I can't have the conversation with you without them hearing it. So I have to do things behind the scenes and in the dark until they become revealed, right?
Yes.
And people look at that as, oh, well, that's Lou being secret. That's Lou, obfuscating the truth. That's Lou controlling a narrative. No, it's not. What it's doing is allowing me the time and the ability to present the information where someone's not going to take it away from you. And that's why I do a lot of what I do when I leave these breadcrumbs. People say, well, I don't want breadcrumbs. That's why you're doing that. Look, if you look for the last 7 years, everything I've ever said has come to pass without exception. Every single thing. And I do that deliberately so people know, look, I am fighting for you. I'm working for you behind the scenes. I just can't tell you everything that I'm doing right now, but eventually you'll know. And I'm trying to, I know people say, well, but it's been 7 years. Yeah, but we've done more than 7 years and we have in the last 70. I mean, guys, I'm working my ass off. Believe me, I'm putting myself in a lot of risk. I lost almost everything pursuing this, and like I said, how much are you paying me to do your podcast right now? How much are you paying me? Zero. That's right. Find any podcaster that I've taken a penny from. It costs money, baby. I'm taking time away from my family to have this conversation with people, and people don't realize that. He's a grifter. Man, you don't know a grifter. If I was a grifter, you know how much money I'd have right now? I'd be flying a Learjet. I deliberately don't do that, simply because I don't want to pollute the topic. And so,
and I respect that. And I think, just from my observation, I try to remain really sort of unbiased from all of this and just look at it from like a spectator perspective. And I think there are a lot of other bad actors in this specific area.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people with cottage industries that have been selling a line of bull to people for a long time, and now they've got to double down, triple down,
and there's a lot, and there's also a lot of trust me, bro. Yeah, right. And people are sick of the trust me, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because there's a lot of it, and so I guess the reason there's probably so much frustration.
You're going to get hate, by the way, as I promise you. Yeah, just for having me in your studio,
I'm aware,
and having this conversation. Oh, Lou's a grifter. He's full of crap. He doesn't know.
I mean, I've been called the same. I'm aware and am currently unfazed by it. Because for me, this is not only a pursuit for them. This is a pursuit for myself as well. I want to know, right? And whatever means I have to get that information is the means I'm going to pursue. But they would also be lying if they said they wouldn't want to be sitting right here and talking with you right now.
Interesting. I think a lot of people probably would, if anything, to throw a tomato at me, probably.
Fine. But if it means getting a little bit more, a little closer to the answer that they're so desperately seeking, then I think it's worthwhile.
But the answer, here's a great point. The answer doesn't come externally. And this is why I've told people before, if you really want to know what's going on out there, you first got to know what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And this is the filter for everything we see and we conceive and we perceive, right? And so you have to stop saying, I demand the truth. Give me the truth. Look in the damn mirror and say, first of all, what can I do to be a better father, a better husband, a better citizen, right? And let me be the best that I can be. And then hopefully that, whatever that is, makes more sense.
Sure.
Right. Because as long as we have the pride and the ego that so many of us carry around, and the inability to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I don't really like that aspect of what I see. We're in a society which, oh, you have to love yourself. Oh, you're the best. You know what? That affirmation is BS. We need to be hypercritical of ourselves so we can be better people. I'll share. You know what these tattoos here on my arm? And by the way, I don't normally like tattoos, but I did it for military and other stuff. You know what this says? It's Latin. It says acceptum paenitio. It means with regret. Because there are people out there that live their lives. I have no regrets. You know what? You're a moron then, because then you're never going to learn a lesson. I have lots of regrets. I've done things that I wish I didn't have to do. Now, if I was put in the same situation again, would I do it for my country? Damn right I would. But I regret the fact that as humans, we had to even be put in that situation. I never want to forget the faces and the lives of other human beings that maybe aren't here anymore, right? Because of things that maybe I've done, right? And so, no, I want to remember their faces. I don't want to glorify that because I'm still a human, and I did things because I had to, not because I wanted to. And I think we have to be self-reflective. I think we have to have the courage to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I can be a better person. You're not going to be perfect. We're humans. We're never, ever going to be perfect. But it shouldn't stop you from trying to being a better human being. And I think that is maybe one of the keys to unlock this greater mystery. We can't, how are we going to, I'll give a perfect case in point. I had a general about 2.5 years ago now. It's been a while. He says to me after giving him a briefing on this topic, he says, Lou, this one I was with the U.S. Space Force. He goes, look, Lou, I really don't care about this. All I care about is if this thing lands on the White House lawn, do I go ahead and extend my hand out to shake its hand and in friendship, or do I point an M16 at its head? And I looked at him and said, my dear General, you're missing the point. It's not an either or solution, right? Both of those may be the wrong way to react to this. We need to do a better job of understanding what's actually going on. In order to do that, you first have to understand how you're wired yourself. What makes you tick? What motivates you? Because that's going to depend on how you interpret that data. Is it friendly? Is it a threat? Or is it something completely different? And so we all have to be on that same sheet of music. We all have to have that honest conversation with ourselves. You know what? We're not perfect. You know what? I'm not the best person out there. You know what? I'm not the prettiest. I'm not the richest. I'm not the most influential, and yeah, I've got some bad habits. Maybe I don't clean up the bathroom, or I drink too much, or I'm a gambler, or whatever that is. But be honest with yourself, man. And then make the effort of trying to learn those lessons and become a better human being, because maybe that's what it's going to take to really understand out there. You got to first understand here.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's a great point. And it's one of the most refreshing things I've heard in this topic, because even Jake Barber, we'll get back to him, he had this sort of this providence, this holy moment when he perceived him being in contact with whatever emotional feminine energy entity was in this craft. But that changed him fundamentally. You could see that on camera. He almost broke down into tears just even talking about it. It was very real to him. And he said something. He said something to the likes of, everybody should feel this in order to understand, that perspective is everything. And
I don't disagree with that. I think he's absolutely right about that.
Yeah. When you have, I've always stuck to this. If you understand someone, it is impossible to hate them. And I will die by those words.